I never thought I would be a homeschool mom. I have 4 kids, one of them has ADHD, and after living through the absolute chaos of COVID school from home, when my kids were in 6th, 4th, 2nd, and kindergarten, the last thing on my personal wish list was to be personally responsible for any of my children's education. And yet, here we are. And I have to tell you, it's been one of the best parenting decisions I've ever made. Today, I want to take you on the journey because it wasn't a quick decision. It happened over several years, involved a lot of research, a lot of conversations, and one very specific moment that finally tipped me over the edge. I'm sharing it because if you have a child who's struggling in school, whether because of ADHD or anything else, you deserve a roadmap for thinking through your options. And that's exactly what I'm going to give you. Today, we're using the S.O.L.V.E method, a structured problem-solving process that I teach in my practice and that you can use to navigate any complex parenting challenge. School decisions, chore battles, social struggles, school bullies. It works for all of it. And I'll show you how to teach it to your own kids too, so they can become better decision makers as they grow. Let's start at the beginning. The S in S.O.L.V.E stands for state the problem. And this sounds obvious, but it's actually where most of us get stuck. We feel the discomfort, we sense that something isn't working, but we haven't named it clearly enough to actually solve it. For us, the problem didn't crystallize until about 4th grade. I have 4 kids, all bright and capable learners, but one who has struggled with attention and hyperactivity in ways that make traditional classrooms genuinely difficult. Not impossible, but genuinely hard. The environment that works beautifully for most kids just isn't built for the way his brain works. Now, we'd had some warning signs towards the end of 1st grade. Then COVID hit and we were thrust into school from home when he was in 2nd grade. And I want to be clear, that was a very different experience from intentional homeschooling. We were adapting on the fly in the middle of a global pandemic with no preparation and a lot of stress. It was terrible for him. 3rd grade back at school was actually really good. Wonderful teacher, positive year. 4th grade was okay, but it was also the year that he started saying out loud and regularly that he didn't like school, that he was unhappy. And that's when I stopped and named it. My child is unhappy at school. That's the problem. And once I stated it clearly, I could actually start solving it. Once you've named the problem clearly, you move on to options. This is the brainstorming stage. You're not evaluating yet, you're just generating every possible path forward that you can think of. For us, the list looks something like this. Seek classroom accommodations through the school. Consider mental health support. Look into transferring to a different public school. Explore private school, or consider homeschooling. We started with accommodations, specifically a 504 plan. Now, if you haven't heard this term, here's a quick version. A 504 plan is a legal document under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act that outlines specific accommodations a child with a disability is entitled to in a public school setting. Things like extended time on tests, preferential seating, reduced homework load, or movement breaks. It doesn't change the curriculum, it changes the environment and the delivery. An IEP, or Individualized Education Program, goes a step farther and includes specialized instruction and is designed for students who need more intensive support, not just accommodations, but modifications to what and how they're being taught. Both are valuable tools. Which one fits depends on your child's specific needs. We had a wonderful, experienced 4th grade teacher who supported us in seeking the 504 route. 5th grade was good. We felt optimistic. And then 6th grade happened with a teacher who was openly unsupportive of both my son and his accommodations. Then came 7th grade when junior high hit, which was a whole new world of complications. The L in S.O.L.V.E is where you slow down and list the pros and cons of your most viable options. This is where you stop reacting and start thinking strategically. Junior high brought a new set of challenges we hadn't anticipated. He couldn't transfer to the school where my older kids had gone, which meant a different environment, a different social dynamic, and 6 different teachers, each with their own systems and their own expectations and their own level of patience for a kid who needs more support. Even when I sat down to help him decode his Canvas assignments, I was often confused. And 7th grade moves fast, with less hand-holding and higher expectations for independence than most kids with ADHD are developmentally ready for. He started asking about homeschool. He had several close friends who homeschooled and loved it. Normally, my first concern would have been socialization, but this kid is one of the most socially connected people in our family. He's with his friends almost every day after school and all weekend, so that wasn't a worry. My actual worry was this: a child with ADHD, one who struggles with motivation, task initiation, and follow-through, is going to have more difficulty being self-directed at home, not less. That felt like a real obstacle. But when I asked him directly, "How do you know this won't be torture for me trying to get you to do your work every day?" his answer stopped me. He said, "Mom, I hate doing homework after school because I've spent all day cooped up and I just want to be free. But if I didn't have to go to school and I could get all my work done in just a couple hours a day, then I would do it without complaining." And then came the moment that tipped me. I was chatting with a close friend whose child is in a similar situation. I asked how 7th grade had been going. She said, "Much better now that she's on ADHD medication and anxiety medication, though she still hates school." I want to be clear. I'm not opposed to medication for ADHD when a healthcare provider determines it's the right call. But that conversation made me ask myself honestly, by keeping him in public school, am I just forcing a square peg into a round hole and causing my child unnecessary distress in the process? That question changed everything. The V is for very best solution, the option you're going to commit to trying first based on everything you've weighed. I started researching homeschool seriously, and I learned a lot. In our town, we have charter schools with homeschool partnership programs that allow you to use their curriculum or choose your own. They require minimal in-person hours per month, but have teachers available for support when needed. There are also fully online programs that handle the administrative side, transcripts, compliance, enrollment, while giving you curriculum flexibility. Not every family is in a position to consider homeschool. I know that. I work from home, which made this a real option for us. If you're not in that position, the other options, 504 plans, mental health support, school transfers, even private school if finances allow, are all genuinely worth exploring. Now, the point of the S.O.L.V.E. method is that you've thought through all of them, not just landed on whatever feels most urgent in the moment. We decided to give homeschool a try. We enrolled through a program that allowed us to choose our own curriculum, and a friend's family introduced us to an online platform called Mindy Road. 3 things I love about it. First, it offers a clear, easy-to-follow daily plan that we can customize in the settings. Second, it delivers the 2-hour school day. So this was exactly what my son had committed to, and he's held up his end of the deal. Third, it has an AI tutor that checks in with him during each lesson and reports back to me. How engaged is he? How much is he comprehending? And it suggests how I can further support his learning. For a kid whose engagement is hard to track at a school across town, this kind of visibility has been genuinely valuable. I'll link to mindyroad.com in the description below, along with a coupon code that I asked them for to share with my amazing parenting community. The final step in S.O.L.V.E. is to evaluate, to honestly assess whether the solution you chose is working, and be willing to circle back and try a different option if it isn't. So how has it gone? I'll tell you honestly, better than expected. Not perfect, no solution is. There are days when motivation is low and I have to work for it, but the baseline is different. He's calmer. He's not white knuckling through 8 hours of an environment that doesn't fit him. He finishes his work, he has his afternoons free, and the relationship between us around school has genuinely improved. So what I want you to hear is this. Evaluation isn't a one-time check. It's ongoing. We will reassess as we go. If something changes, if this stops working, if a new option becomes available, if his needs evolve, we'll go back to the options, and start again. That's not failure. That's a process working exactly the way it's supposed to. And here's the deeper gift of this S.O.L.V.E. method. It isn't just for you. Teach it to your kids. The next time your child comes to any sort of problem, a friendship conflict, a situation at school, a challenge that they don't know how to handle, walk them through it. State the problem, name your options, list the pros and cons, choose the very best solution, and evaluate how it went. You're not just solving this problem together, you're building a thinking skill that will serve them for the rest of their lives. I want to close with this. This journey taught me something I think it's worth saying out loud. Being a good parent doesn't mean having all the answers in advance. It means being willing to name the problem, stay curious about your options, and make the most thoughtful decision that you can with the information you have, and then stay open to adjusting. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to engage with intentionally, one step at a time. Whether you're in the early stages of noticing your child is unhappy, or you've been navigating school challenges for years, or you're staring down a decision that feels too big to make, you have more options than you think, and you have everything you need to start thinking through them clearly. You have everything you need today to start making this change. And if you're wondering whether your kiddo may have ADHD, I suggest you schedule an appointment with your local health professional. In the meantime, I'll share with you a video I made on 10 subtle signs of ADHD that most parents miss.